everyone. Today I'm going to be giving a brief introduction to the philosophy of law. It's something that I've learned about in my time at McMaster University, and it's definitely one of my favorite subjects so far from university. I've always thought it was interesting to look at one of the major pieces of our society, like law, and try to understand it from a total perspective, explaining what law is at its most basic level. The easiest introduction to this would likely be to ask, what is law, as a general question, and see how philosophers have answered. Two of the most major philosophers that have answered this question are people by the names of John Austin and Herbert Hart. Both of these two have provided different answers that have shaped the ideas of other philosophers over the years about what law is. Starting with John Austin, he had a very simple definition of law, saying that what an individual law is an order given by the government that is enforced by the threat of punishment. To explain, let's analyze a law that prevents a person from stealing another's belongings. In Austin's view, the main reason that people don't steal from each other is because they are aware that it is against the law, and that if they broke that law, then they would receive the assigned punishment by the government. In this case, most likely a fine or perhaps a jail sentence. As I said, this is a very simple definition, which sees all laws as functioning in the same way. But you can also see how this is useful to talk about how laws are created. After all, by this definition, you would come to the conclusion that the only people who have the ability to create laws are those who have the ability to carry out punishments as well. And the only laws that will be successful are those where the punishment is severe enough that the law is worth following. To Austin, explaining how the workings of a society serve to keep order is what is most important, and his theory is very practical for this purpose. Switching things up, let's talk about Herbert Harts Theory. Harts Theory tends to be a bit more broad, explaining how laws affect the way we think and act beyond simply following rules or not. According to Hart, our laws don't just tell us what we are and are not allowed to do, they create a system of social rules that affects our behavior at large. To use the same example of a law against stealing, all of us probably know that we would be punished if we stole something from someone else. But greater than this, says Hart, is the idea that it's morally wrong to steal, and we can see how our laws are just a part of our social values that determine what we will and won't do. Hart knows that laws are obviously still important to provide official rules on what is and isn't allowed, but even if there were no laws, it's easy to see how many people would continue to follow normal rules of morality, not stealing from each other, not attacking or trying to hurt each other. Hart makes a further theory that the reason people naturally try to act morally is because other people will only accept them if they are moral people, which gives them this social obligation. The contrast between Hart and Austin provides a very interesting perspective, where we begin to ask what is more important to keeping peace in our world. Is it the theoretical punishments that exist to ensure that laws are followed? Or is it the shared belief by people that to be accepted by others, we must be morally good? Both of these ideas have arguments in their favor, as well as arguments against them, and so the debate has continued for a long time, without either side reaching a definitive conclusion. Two different perspectives, two different building blocks that much of legal philosophy has built on for almost 100 years. I hope this has made an interesting introduction to this subject. I've always liked sharing my learning with others, so I hope you were able to learn something new today. Goodbye for now, and I hope to see you in a future video.